Good evening, Goblins and Grivlies, and welcome back to the third annual installment of the Goblins of Zarth 3-game Australian role-playing community online experience. If you've been playing these games throughout the day this Sunday, and you're going to play the games on the other 2 weeks for the next few weeks, then welcome. We are very much happy to have had you today, and we're very much looking forward to having you again over the next few weeks. We have a brand new story for you. And as a part of this story, we have at least one brand new participant. Please feel very welcome our new player or guest from the Cooking the Monster series, Matley.
Hey.
We also have our regular favorites, Paul and Rowan, back for another amazing experience in the world of Goblins of Zarth. Now, Goblins of Zarth is a unique fantasy setting where goblins rule and all other races have been pushed to the periphery of society or live in service of the Zarth Empire, a goblin empire that rules over a vast swathe of steppes in the nearby areas, across the mountains, beyond the sea. And in this series of games, we are going to start to explore a little bit beyond the bounds of the vast labyrinthine city that is Zarth and step outside into the world at large. But that doesn't mean that we're going to go back there to start with. However, I'd like to steal your attention away for a little while to the swinging sensation a breeze whips up, carrying the dank scent of ancient loam, a long decayed earth sinking into the swamp, the mire. A sore sensation creeps over your bodies. Hunger crawls in as you look out through a room of dark, shadowy shapes, hanging in a creaking basket thick with wicker. You and your compatriots look out to see sinister shadows leering at you from captivity on all sides. In the distance, you hear the heavy falls of ominous footsteps coming closer and closer, the glint of reflections in an eye that is small, but you know will become much larger as it approaches. How did you ever find yourselves in such a predicament? Flashback suddenly to the crisp smell of paper stacked high, leather-bound books and vellum scrolls as far as the eye can see, scurrying around in the early morning as the dawn creeps above the city of Zarth, piercing through the windows of the central archive in the administration section of Pren Towers. Creep 3 very guilty little goblins. One of them stands at the fore. Dot Point carries a candle of strange turquoise color with a flame purple emerging from its top. As the group of 3 shapes passes through the shelves, we start to see certain glyphs illuminate on book spines. Now, these are not native to those books, nor were they added at any point by the hands that made them or cataloged them in the first place. These are new symbols that have been painted crudely on top that are now only visible in the light of this special candle. Dot Point, please give a physical description and tell us why you're here following this trail of sigils.
So, Dot is obviously a tall individual for a goblin, wearing a neat coat, fingers clean of ink, of course. One doesn't touch books with fingers stained with ink. One cleans their fingers after doing that. And obviously some glasses so as to be able to see the marvels of books and such that are in this location.
Following behind Dot, who courageously takes the lead of the group in the dim of the early morning archive, looms another figure, looking very, very proud. Very, very noticeable. Paul, Please give a description.
Fine Arby Tootright the 15th is crouched, dressed in finery, some extremely supple toad skin riding boots, tucked into pantaloons that are with the finest of racing stripes, and an air of polo and animals, but rich animals. Saying a quick shh to the deer-like companion, Petunia. Shh, Petunia. Stay still.
As she trots along beside fine Arby, Tootright the 15th. And then, like a glum shadow creeping off the back of the first two, sits another sinister-looking figure. Drim Hank Ruan, describe yourself.
You'd barely notice me because I'm in dark clothes, dark coat, wisps of hair that's a bit crazy, some glasses that sort of have a holographic sort of sheen that add to a sort of certain mystery about myself, and a bit hunched over, a bit creaky, and very sneaky like. If you don't notice, you might not notice me. You'd have to really be looking because I do try to blend in as best as I can.
And together they move, almost as one, with their own inconsistencies, but driven towards a single goal, to follow the trail of runes. They didn't originally know each other. They were all separate people with separate causes, in separate places. But for Drim Hank, who knew the truth about all things and discovered that many years ago the 13th Legion was missing. No big deal. Recently, certain petty nobles have been going missing. No big deal. But all of the nobles who have been going missing happen to be descended from families who were originally missing with the 13th Legion, lost all those years ago.
Big deal.
Something going on here. They sought out one person in a family who was still in existence and found fine Arby Tootright. Of course, the Tootright family was well known for their military exploits. But fine Arby didn't care about that. All he cared about was his money. But maybe, in a dim, dark tavern, Drim Hank could get informations out of him that he didn't even know he had. Of course, by the time Drim Hank found fine Arby had been robbed almost blind by the family administrator, who had restricted him from access to his family money because it could not be released to him from the trust fund until his 100th birthday, unless, of course, proof that his grandfather and father had been deceased was presented to them. But of course, these anomalies were nothing by comparison to the heresy discovered by Dot Point, who may have encountered fine Arby and Drim Hank on this night, and just this night, but had much more important business. It would appear that all files and memorandum due to be lodged on the 13th Legion have been neglectfully misfiled and placed elsewhere, otherwise, or somewhere completely different. More to the point, every time Dot Point brought this up to their superiors, those superiors would go missing. And it was on one of those occasions that Dot Point found this very candle, lit it up, and started to discover a pattern of runes, sigils, on the spines of certain books that they now follow, leading them down through the crisp ranks of paper, well organized, well folded, every record magically and immaculately put down by the administrative goblins. So why is there an anomaly? You creep through the darkness. Every time you move forwards, a little closer, think you lose your way, you see another sigil illuminated.
Shh. I think I hear something. Nope. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
All right.
Dot Point, hurry with the candle.
I mean, yes, I am hurrying. We are walking towards. It's very difficult to find small purple things, and also all these books are going to face, which is terrible. Budget will need to be
Due to a terrible.
found for the cleaning.
Shh.
What?
It's about sneaking. Sneaking is quiet. You two need to stop talking to each other.
Shh, Petunia.
You
At this
must
point-
look like you're meant to be there.
At this point, the conversation and direction that you're taking leads to a shelf containing a large stack of scrolls. And as you break into the argument, you turn and you see that, in fact, one of these scrolls, among all the others, is completely illuminated by the spark of this light.
Well, go on, pick it up.
I'm not picking
Sure.
it up.
Well, Mr. Durant can then.
I'm tall enough. I'll reach it out, grab it, unfurl it with a bit of a
As-
flourish.
You pull the scroll
Mm-hmm.
out from the chamber. You feel a small tug, and I would like for you all to please make wisdom rolls.
12.
14.
10.
You think for a second, Arby, that somewhere in the distance, a small, high-pitched little bell tinkles away.
Ooh, charming.
A little bit of resistance as you pull the scroll out, but it looks like nothing but a piece of string now broken hanging off the end as you unravel it.
Well, that's careless of whoever stringed this thing to not attach it to anything important.
What does it say?
Anyway, what does it say, people? I don't read these things myself.
Well,
Well, what does it say?
dot point, you should be able to read this.
Yes. Hand it over.
No, I'm holding it up.
Okay, you hold it up into the light, and the light of the candle reveals that there is, in fact, an extended list. There are several lists. List of what might be names, again in this language that you don't quite understand. Mind you, Drim Hank, if you would like to consult your book, you might be able to discern something out of it. You can make a wisdom with advantage using the notes you have on everything.
That is 17.
Oh,
I think.
Okay. You turn to several pages and you find one translation that appears to be from something called Dark Tongue. Now, these translations are far from complete, but they are giving you a pretty clear indication of at least what is being stated. The first is a list of names, about 13 all told, most of which have been crossed off, except for 2. There is one that you recognize for certain, based on the syllables that comes out,
Mhm.
the toot right, which is circled but not crossed.
ooh, I'd hate to be that guy.
There is one above it called the Ratant family, which is half crossed out and also circled.
Ugh.
Every other name on that list is crossed out and circled. The second is a list of names which seem to be completely unknown and make little sense to you as you read them out, Drim Hank. But as you read out 2 of those names, there are 3 names, on that list that ring out. First 2 to dot point, you recognize as the names of administrative goblins that you studied with. And then the final name, Fine Arby Toot Right, is one you know all too well. The syllables stumble a little bit, but
Mhm.
eventually the name Burn Rabble Chunk
Ooh.
comes out.
Ooh. That's the blighter that has been siphoning off my trust fund.
Hang on. I knew there was something suspicious about all of this.
Is this the list of people who are yet to disappear?
Well,
Or people that we can help disappear? Because him disappearing it would certainly clear a thing or 2 up for me.
One
There's
page
one-
might be targets. One page might be conspirators, is what I'm suggesting.
just
There's
looking.
one final note on the page.
Ooh.
It appears to be a small signature at the bottom. It's not quite with syllables that you can make out. You would probably need somebody else to discern them for you. as well as the other information that might be here. However, it is at this point that you can all make wisdom rolls for me.
14.
14.
7.
So, while arguing over a distinctive point, Fine Arby and Drim Hank are both have their attention drawn away by the distinct sound of rustling in a library where nobody else should be at this time of morning.
Shh, Petunia, shh.
A
Which-
growl, low and bellyful, creeps its way through the echoing bookshelves around you from an undetected source.
I merge
quick.
myself back into the shelf as much as I can.
Petunia, hop on my shoulders. And I'll turn, put my back to the shelves themselves, and start to try and pinpoint where that sound is coming from.
Give me another wisdom roll.
Hey, Dot. Do you
What are
have
the two of you even doing?
do you have guard dogs in the library or guard things in the library?
Do we?
Not usually. It's the job of the administrative goblins to be astute and aware, and if they are not dealing with the situation, they will call in the Imperial Guard to come and handle it. Imperial Guard have exclusive rights and privileges to patrol all areas in the library and the entire tower.
Do the Imperial Guards
You just generally tell
sound
them
like
to stay out
dogs?
of it because they might damage the books.
Yeah, we would never have some kind of animal in here. Gonna glare. Because it might damage the books, make a nest in them or something.
Exactly. No animals allowed in here. I got an 18 for
Oh,
trying to
excellent.
pinpoint
So
the
you
sound.
say no animals in here at all, and you look up and you see this leering pink with yellow spotted face popping over the top of a bookshelf that nobody else seems to have seen. So I would very much like you to make a wisdom saving throw so that you can believe whatever Dot is saying.
15.
12.
Okay. Well, I mean, you do believe what they're saying, but there's definitely something up there leering down at you, and it is large, and it has teeth, and a drop of drool comes down. You are, in fact, distracted from your endeavor to decipher this scroll even further, Dot point, by this large bit of like gelatinous liquid that just drops in the middle of it.
What is going on here? Do we have a leak again? Gotta look up.
Lucky that there are no animals in this library here.
I don't think I'm saying animals. Do you know what an animal is?
And you all look up now, following the string of drool that's extruded from it, to now see these large yellow eyes with orange flecks in them, gnashing teeth, hideous scarring and stitches across the surface of this top-heavy creature that appears to have been crawling through the bookshelves. And I would like you all, please, to make dexterity rolls for me.
12.
20.
14.
Excellent. Well, fine, RB Toot, right? You notice two things.
Mhm.
One, the absolutely rippling muscles on this cat-like creature, its readiness to pounce. Two, the paralysis in your friends who really have no idea how to react to such a threatening situation.
Mhm.
And three, that your rippling muscles are much more raring to go than even this feline-like creature.
I'm going to ripple the muscles in my thighs above my fine, fine boots and inside my fine pants. I'm going to shimmer over to the side to get its attention on me. And when it pounces, I'm going to crouch with my gleaming gold-plated spiked helm leading the way into its gullet and take it from the inside.
All right, you prepare yourself for exactly this kind of thing, and in fact, it does leap.
Yes.
But you anticipated this. So
I've got you exactly where I want you.
As it does
Around
so,
me.
you get to make an attack, plunging yourself deep inside of its gaping maw.
Oh, yeah. Less so. Oh, wait, I have a spiked helm.
That gives you advantage.
If only that advantage made it better. I got 8.
Excellent.
What's the armor class of its throat?
Well, evidently,
Epiglottis.
you attempt to go inside of it, and instead it like moves its head around like a cat, one arm reaching round, and then the other going under, and like a plaything, it tosses you up in the air. It's now lying on its back, and you take 8 points of damage. Its claws lacerate through your armor and your armed dresses, ruining your distinctive style.
I waited 3 weeks for that.
However, Dot Point and Drim Hank, you see that the creature is now A, very real, and B, distinctively distracted by fine Arby Toodright, who makes an excellent plaything for it in this situation. However, its tail lashes out, its claws go to the side, books are torn from their shelves, scrolls fly everywhere, sheds of paper and vellum are now filling the air.
This is why animals are not allowed in here.
Drim Hank, what are you doing?
I'm getting out my blow dart. And I'm going to take a shot.
Okay.
At 15.
That's including your attack bonus?
Yeah.
All right. It appears to have no effect on the creature. It does a small amount of damage, as does a piercing dart, but it does not seem to be affected by the sleeping poison. Dot Point, what are you doing?
I'll give it a withering glare. Infused by the rage of all librarians.
Okay.
Damage to the books.
It does appear to be considerably distracted by its plaything. But it's going to you look at it, you catch it in mid-sight. Do you please make a roll?
All right, I will. That is a 19.
Okay, you fix it with your stare, looking menacingly over your glasses in its general direction. It looks left and right to make sure you're looking at it, and then looks back at you, and then starts to backstep away from you, still holding fine Arby Toodright in its teeth. And then, as it's Arby's turn, this thing looks like it's about to run in the opposite direction. What do you do, Arby? You're currently clenched in its jaws.
I'm still in here. I'm going to try and get my polo mallet free and whack it on its snout, saying, "Bad thing, bad thing, drop it now, Petunia!"
Petunia leaps defensively to the side, its little wibbly proboscis going wild, its Bambi-like spots just bristling as its hair stands on end, angry that you're being attacked. It
Give
jumps
it the
on
wettest of willies.
top.
Proboscis straight in the ear. Oh, good lord. Okay, I got 17 with my maul to boop it on the snoot.
Okay, roll damage.
And Petunia gets 17 to hit it with its equipment. 13 points of damage from the boop.
All right, cool. It slashes in, tearing up some of the stitching. The concussion of the maul knocks it clean to the side. It, however, does not let go of you.
Petunia does another 7 with its proboscis.
Okay.
Probing for some deliciousness.
Now seeping from multiple wounds, the creature runs towards the nearby window and jumps, still having you in its jaws, out the window. Glass shatters into the night. The heady sound of early morning nightlife, because the goblins hang out at night, sleep during the day. So you got all these daylight crawlers going out for a good time. Smashing through the windows, several stories down, you see a haze of smoke and industry broiling up from the city, beneath which throbbing sounds of pumping and dancing from the nightlife that is starting to be engaged in, music and colors, because in the break of the dawn, still all of the fluorescent colors that are used to light up the city streets are at play, showing out into the night as you dive into the street.
Avenge me!
You start to plummet. This creature, however, as it's going down, because the tower at the bottom starts to curve out, now grabs and starts pour running down the side. Drimhank. It's jumped through the window and smashed out.
Okay, how quickly can I get down these stairs out to the door?
You want to go through internal exits, or do you want to go out the window?
Well, out the window doesn't sound like a good way to stay alive. I think I'm going to go internal exits. I've got twinkle toes. I can do this fast.
It's
I'm
true.
using my internal exits.
You hit the fire exit, or what they call it. You run down, you hit the nearest flight of stairs and start running down some internal exits. A few workmen who are still turning up in the morning or knocking off for the evening, and then a couple of other guys who are just running in and out, getting back and forth, like immediately, whoa, going your way. You knock over some buckets of paint, a few people who are drunk on the steps, some administrative goblins slowly having a calculation challenge. You're like, bam, straight through the middle of them. Dot point. Are you following Drimhank, or are you going a different direction, or doing something completely different?
I might go out the window after him. Because my new friend is obviously in some kind of distress, so I need to fix this.
All right, you run, jump out the window. You see the panther-like creature, this cat-like creature, pouncing down, looks back, a wild yellow eye, turns back in your general direction, still like shamefully looking at your withering glare as you chase it down. I would like you to make a dexterity roll. Do you have anything that might help you in this?
I think that I do not, in fact, have anything that will help me in this.
Surely you've read a book
sheer
on
determination may take you through.
belaying.
Sheer determination. Yes. That is a dexterity, so a 6.
Okay, you jump out and immediately your robes catch on the railing of the side of the window, which are normally for safety, but instead they trip you over. You are wearing, however, very hefty robes, so you only take about 1 point of damage. You just start to bundle up in the robes like some kind of snowball going down the side. Eventually, by the time it's Fine Arby Two's turn to act, you now see this administrative goblin rolling down the side of Pren Towers in pace next to you, in fact, overtaking you.
Oh, good show.
Good girl.
Fine Arby is going to start to look around at his at where this panther is running to. I presume that we're heading to the Purple Light District, which he does know quite well. And
yes, you have spent long nights in the Purple Light District in the ear tickling rooms.
Exactly. Speaking of ear tickling or nose tickling, I'm going to do something a little bit more risque. So the polo hammer is going to get rotated around, and Fine Arby shouts out, "Don't watch Petunia!" And he's going to try and stick it in the nostril of the panther, like right in there, to give it a bit of a nasal swizzling. Hopefully, to be dropped from the maw of this thing and land in the decorative, obscene fountain that he knows is just coming up because of all of the times where he has been reclined and tickled on it.
Yes, 10 goblins massed together around a single plains lizard, rendered in perfect obsidian in every detail, like some kind of, tantric sculpture of sensual delights.
Nobody has seen that fountain who has not learned something new every time. That is an 18 for the nasal swizzling.
All right. Well, in a contested strength roll, you in fact get to direct the action. The cat-like creature loses its footing, and now it's still got its jaws on you, but now you've got your mallet fully shoved up its nostril. You are intertwined, much like that tantric sculpture, and I'm going to say at this point you collide with Dot Point, who is also rolling down in the same way. You take 1 point of damage. Dot Point takes an additional 2 points of damage. And as you careening down, I need both Dot Point and Fine Arby to make dexterity rolls as you're about to collide with this tantric obsidian object in the Purple Light District.
I can't see you in there, but if you have it already, just go limp.
No, I'm always limp.
Oh, that's a 6. Take it on the chin.
5 points. Crunch! Boom! You hit the base. You finally penetrate the bottom layer, the street level at Pren Towers, coming into the Purple Light District, moving through a cloud of purple gas, separating it aside. You go smash, separating into your 3 separate groups. in the fountain. Thankfully, the document that you just rescued is written on vellum, so you don't have to worry about the paper destroying it. The paper being destroyed by the water. Drim, Hank, it's at this point you rush out from the bottommost fire exit, much to the dismay of a couple of Imperial guards who were caught napping and just see this shadowy figure walk by and then decide to pretend they were doing their jobs, and nothing happened here. Rush out towards the fountain, clutching onto your book, pulling it away from the splash as it comes out of the fountain. And you see top of the fountain start to fall. Would you like to inform your friends, Drim?
Duck and roll! Timber!
I'm going to hoist myself out of the fountain and try and scramble away.
I presume I can squiggle out of the jaws of the panther at this stage.
Oh yeah, the panther is like somewhere bubbles broiling up. You can't see it right now.
I salute it. Sorry, friend. Happens to the best of us. And try and scramble out of the
You are
fountain.
halfway scrambling out when all of a sudden the panther rises up, eyes red, blood breathing from multiple bumps and bruises. You can now, in the light of the illuminated patterns of fluorescent or bioluminescent paint that covers this whole area in lurid patterns to give us some kind of gaudy sense of entertainment and good times to accompany the music. This is the Purple Light District after all.
Mm-hmm.
The cat-like creature as the tantric obsidian sculpture crushes it dead. In the light, you can, however, see, on closer inspection, its stitched form, like some kind of amalgamation of other creatures. Flesh rendered to flesh.
I'm going to flick
Somebody
through my
asleep
book.
on the other side of the fountain wakes up, looks around, goes back to sleep in the fountain. Blub, 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 blub. Passers-by and merrymakers pay you little mind, for they know everything will be cleaned in the morning.
I flick back through my book. Look, I
Later
have
in
some
the morning.
proof of some sort of creatures being created, and now I have real proof.
Yes, well, good.
I flick my cape over one shoulder, put one booted foot on the stitched together head of this thing, and grab the end of my maul and start to try and pull it out of its ruined nasal cavities with all of the internal goo that will come along with it.
Ooh, so it must have like slammed in and just been like shoved up.
This
Very
Yeah.
good.
this creature
And this
is
thing's
made.
like got bits of sharpened obsidian around the edge of the maul as well, so rather damaging.
This is not a real creature. I haven't seen something like this before. This is created. This is some sort of corruption of nature.
Potentially.
Not a foreign concept to goblins, but you know.
Yeah. So, all right then. Who do we know who does this kind of thing?
No, I
I mean,
have a long
shouldn't-
list.
yes.
You can make an intelligence roll with advantage because Grim Hank, because of your extensive notes on everything.
7. I'm a bit discombobulated.
You're not sure, but you know what, Grim Hank? You probably know someone who does. There's a Zarth mystic that's not always in town, but you in fact know that they are in town on this occasion. And staying in an establishment you know is the Bottomless Pit. It's a place where people like to get away from the world and sometimes literally get away from the world, but also it has a very good bar. It's just in the outer suburbs a little bit farther along, and this guy's called this goblin of indeterminate orientation and or gender is called the Great Tomato.
I think I know someone who could help us with this.
Excellent.
Oh, thank God. I'm going to casually, carefully, use Dot Point's robes to wipe off the end of my maul and put it back in its polo hammer loop, and then see where Petunia's gotten to. Give it a bit of a pat.
Oh, Petunia just like pops up. You actually see Petunia is at the corpse, just proboscis deeply embedded in the thing's ear, sucking out whatever juices it can.
Oh, that's the spirit.
It looks up to you and affectionately goes,
Yes. Oh, look at you.
His little slit eyes, sideways slit eyes, go blink, blink, blink,
Oh, look at that.
blink, blink.
I love you too. Let's go.
All right.
And you jet off into the night. Crossing through the suburbs, you pass through the Purple Light District, eventually finding yourself on the far fringes of it. The smell is what hits you first. It's the only way they know this thing has a bottom. There is a theory that if they keep filling it with corpses, they'll eventually fill in the hole. But that hasn't happened yet. You come to the rim and start walking down the outside stairs. But halfway down, you see what at first you think is a shrine mounted in the side of the wall, carved into the very rock itself. But instead it is just a ledge set into the wall upon which an ancient and withered, large, bulbous-nosed and pock-marked goblin sits with a long, spindly beard and a deep, drooping moustache. They say, as in deep meditation, surrounded by empty bottles of liquor, some kind of humble drone. And this Drim Hank is who you recognize as the Great Tomato, a mystic who has come to your house, eaten all your sandwiches, but still, you found it in your heart to welcome them again. They know the truth of many things.
Oh, Great Tomato, oh, wise one, I have found another abomination, a creature that has been stitched together. And I describe this beastie that's not just a normal stitched together beastie.
Without even breaking a sweat, the Great Tomato opens one of its eyes, a little sly look, its toe wiggles and knocks one of the empty bottles. It spins a little bit before returning.
You can see the teeth imprints on my friend Fine Arby here.
I do say this tomato looks a little underwatered. I look around and go, someone? Anyone?
A little
Bottle
further
service?
down the path that winds around the outside of the bottomless pit. Well, it's not really bottomless, but this is what people call it. Also the corpse hole, but whatever you like. There is another door that appears to go into an establishment where you can hear the sounds of mild merrymaking sort of carrying out through the night.
Now, you deal with your friend. I can get some takeaway and bring it back. Does appear a little parched.
Make sure he can see the teeth marks on you first so that he can, really figure out what this thing is.
Oh, I present myself.
Well, I mean,
There's
you're
some
very good at
brain
that.
matter.
In fact, you're not the only person paying attention. Even the Great Tomato breaks from their communication to admire exactly how well structured and shaped a goblin you are. Did you put yourself together on your way back, or at least your clothes?
Yes, absolutely. They've all been smoothed out a bit. There's been some pins of safety applied fashionably. It's now just distressed instead of shredded.
But intentional.
All right, well, putting yourself in order, you stroll into an establishment far beneath your standing, but sometimes you rough it and end up in places like this, and the stench isn't that bad, really. However, there are several troglodytes plying trade in here, which is testimony to probably exactly how high a tolerance you built up for the general ambient stench of this environment as you descended the stairs. A grim bar across the way, which is less of a bar and more of a table with a few barrels on it, sits, someone half asleep behind it, pours out swill. Bartender, a much older goblin, half built into the chair that they sit on.
Good day, sir. It is your lucky day. You get to give me a takeaway bottle of your finest whatever passes for drink here, thank you. And I slap down a coin on the bar.
Immediately jumping up at the sound of the coin on the bar and paying very much attention, the coin almost completely disappears. You see he hobbles up with one peg leg and grabs a nearby punter and empties their flask. The punter is unconscious. Refills it, puts a cloth wax seal on it, and hands it over to you with a smile.
Perfect. Keep doing what you're doing.
You take the flask, his smile immediately droops, and he melts back into the chair, which it looks like he's been sitting in for the last 100 years.
That's great, because I've already turned my back on him with a flourish and strode back to the exit and up the stairs again.
At least one half-conscious goblin looks up at your amazing skirts and sees you leave, and goes back to sleep, happier than they were a moment before.
I am just doing my civic duty.
Meanwhile, on the perch, the great tomatoes are... You can hear the sound of them inhaling as they can tell the scent of alcohol above the scent of the corpses and troglodytes. And they crack toes, wiggle, step down from their perch, take a big sweep, and it's like, Drimank, my friend, you have returned to seek my wisdom again.
Yes, I'm here to tell you about this creature that we saw. Bits and pieces all stuck together, teeth ginormous. Look at the markings on my friend Fine Arby here, you can see it.
And were they red and angry markings?
Well.
Or were they clean and neat?
Well, have a look
the
here.
The stitching was neat.
Dot point.
It felt angry.
The stitching was neat. The markings on the beast were an orangey color, I think.
You understand what he's saying, dot point. It's
yes.
The marks, where the flesh was joined, it was not infected in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, it was not infected. No.
He's like, this is definitely the work of someone who knows what they're doing. And there are only 2 creatures in the world that can make this kind of contraption. And one of them, when they do it, these creatures just start to disintegrate because they were already dead. But if this is very much alive and vibrant with existence, then that means it has been given life by its creator, generally a mother. It is a witch-born, made of the flesh of the bodies of the ancient hags. They make them themselves and send them out in the world to do their bidding. In service of them or in service of some of their agents. Sometimes they are their agents, but they are always intrinsically bound to the witches, like some say goblins are. But I'm not bound to no ancient hag.
If it's bound to one of these ancient witches, how do we track that down? And I start flicking back through my book to see if I can find any notes, but hoping that the wise one will help me. Dot, what about you? You read all these things in the library.
I want to know how the witch would react to having one of their creatures killed. Is there a constant connection? Is it more like a child that they send off and do things, or is there some kind of psychic brain thing that's going on currently?
The great tomato turns upside down the bottle. You notice that it is empty. They return to their crevice on the stoop. And they start blowing a bubble out their nose, in and out, as they pass from consciousness. And then their duck wakes up and
sorry.
Starts looking at you menacingly.
I pull out a bit of bread from my coat.
And eat it in front of it, tauntingly.
I lick it. I need answers. Where will I find these witches?
The duck starts banging the forehead of the great tomato.
And
The great tomato does not seem to be waking up. It's just this angrier and angrier red dot developing on his forehead as the bubble.
Right.
It appears no
So-
more information is to be gathered from this location.
I'm going to give the bread to the duck.
The duck eats it hungrily.
Thank you for your service.
The duck did make a good faith effort. Yeah.
We had 2 lists, or at least 2 lists.
Yes.
One of which was me
Mhm.
and some less esteemed company, which was half crossed out.
Retard.
Yes.
Retard, yes. The other one was that absolute piece of swamp scum, burn rubble chonk. Now, if Rattan was on the same list as the disappeared people's list,
Mhm.
we should probably see what this half crossed out mark means.
You
They
know,
may have some. They may have also been attacked.
you know nobles. Do
As
you know?
as you pull the list out, and the duck finishes, it reaches down amongst the beard and hair, fishes around, looks out, looks over your scroll, fishes around, looks out, looks back at your scroll, and then comes out and in its beak it clasps a small crumpled up piece of paper that it spits out of you, at you, drops on the ground before you, before then itself ruffling its feathers and nesting into a sleep. You unravel the scroll, and it appears to be a codex translating the Dark Tongue runes that you have into standard Goblin runes.
Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the 2 of them for a while and just confirm. Do I know this person who is half crossed out?
Yeah, you used to play with them when you were a kid. They were much older than you. So they were a relative. You saw them at like functions, or the youngest of their family, you saw at functions. The older ones were like going the way of the dodo, but still in military practice. So,
They'll get it right eventually.
Yeah, the Ratants. The one that you know is still alive and you hear is around, because you know noble stuff, as it were, is called a Dant Ratant.
Right.
Where would we find this Dant Ratant?
Oh, the finest of establishments.
Well,
Let me open your eyes.
Dant Ratant lives, their family has a noble and upstanding property in a nearby suburb called Tarnish Lane.
Fantastic. I will. Well, let's leave this bottom behind, and I will lead the way up the stairs.
Okay.
Step out into the street and flag down some form of people carrier.
Yeah,
And-
a large lizard is strolling
Beautiful.
through the streets.
Tarnished lane, and don't spare the horses. Feed as many of them as you need to this lizard.
The 6-legged lizard goes upon its way, scooping up a couple of urchins as it passes,
That's the spirit.
and you make haste to Tarnish Lane. On the way, Drimhank and Dot Point, you look down and you're looking through the names, and the one name that you couldn't make out on the sheet was the name of a goblin or a creature that you don't know what it is. The name is unfamiliar to you, and the name is Dewey Decimal. Now, Dot Point, that does sound a name that would usually be associated with an administrative goblin.
That does sound familiar. Do we have the well, we're on the way. Would we have a employment records, I suppose? Once we've gone to the retards, we can go to the employment records and talk with them.
Yes, if you went back to the central spire at Pren Towers,
Yes.
you would be able to get access to those employment records, and also you could talk to anyone in charge of the department. You could even, if you so desired and wish to bring attention to such matters, to Lucian Fitzmac, who is the head of the central administration, or one of 5 rotating heads.
The two that I recognized, who were in the Ministry of Goblins, did they have? Were they ones that went missing, or were they ones that I haven't known?
You studied with them. You haven't seen them since. You haven't engaged with them since. You've seen them around. You haven't heard that they've gone missing. Theoretically, they could still be around. They do work at the. They might not work at the tower. You primarily work at the tower, so maybe they don't work at the tower.
Are they on some form of crossed off list, or are they just a list?
Just a list.
They're on the burn rattle chunk list.
I'd like to know one other thing, dot point, which is regardless of how foreign the Dark Tongue, the script is, the sigils that you're seeing before you, it's laid out in a very immaculate manner, and all of the names are alphabetized.
While we're on the way to the Ratat Manor, as it were, I will be filling out forms for getting the windows repaired and so on and so forth.
Excellent. All of the appropriate things to make sure that the damage is lodged and the creature identified, and you already have the forms filled out for the previous missing information on the 13th Legion. You just seem to keep failing to submit it to somebody who will do anything about it. Without disappearing, that is. With this, you arrive at Tarnished Lane. The 6-legged plain lizard pulls to a halt, and you all look out into what appears to be a 10-foot deep, 80-foot wide by 60-foot wide recreational mud pit that now stands in place of where Ratant Manor once stood. Various goblins are playing in the mud, throwing rocks and lumps at each other in a very happy manner, holding each other's head beneath, and otherwise engaging in activities. There's a couple festering in puddle to their own filth in the hope of slowly procreating.
Now, I could be lost, and I don't want to blame this.
Says a small goblin with a gaudy-looking red robe with a turquoise trim. 10 cents! You want to go? Come on. It's delicious and fun. You want to have babies, don't you? Get your filth on. Come join us in the mud puddle. You too can grow some little growths and have goblins of your own.
Goblins of my own is the least of my concerns right now, sir. I am missing other parts of my family. And most importantly,
a lifetime of service for, a few months of festering in your own stew. You can do it right here. 10 cents. The bargain.
What happened to the place that was here before? Or was this where your associates lived?
I bought it. Well, I bought what was left of it. It was all sold off over a period of time, right down to the foundations, the stones in the basement, everything. Perfect for a mud pit when they clear out all the bones in the basement.
I was going to say, I do remember there being floors above the ground.
Yes, they sold them first.
They've done this before, I see.
When did they sell them? How long ago?
When did you start this magnificent mud pit?
Well, funny you should ask. I acquired it just after the last rains. Last thing they sold me, did they?
When were the last rains?
About 2 weeks ago.
I haven't noted down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some nice creature called Abacus General.
Abacus General? Dealt with the sundries of selling you the remaining pit?
I believe so. And dot point, that is one of the 2 goblins that you went to school with.
Interesting. You have the documentation at hand, of course.
Of course! Reaches into their gaudy red robe with the turquoise strip, pulls out a leather wax-bound satchel. And before I crack this seal, who might I be showing it to? he says, looking you up and down.
Dot point, of course.
You also, in saying that, show him your seal of office.
Deal.
It's like, all right then, go on. Tags are all official. Rolls it out. There's a vellum scroll, upon which it appears to be a completely legal ownership document for one aforementioned mud pit.
I'm going to do some scratching on the vellum just to make sure there's nothing like hidden, like no one's written
Appears
over
to
the top of it.
be above board and all in order, signed by all necessary parties, including the head of the local works.
Is there? Can we bust out the that fancy little candle of yours?
We can bring it out.
Not to cast aspersions on you, my good goblin pit meister. We just need to have a quick look at this, just with a bit more light, where our eyes are a little bit bad from all of the partying that we have done. I think you'll understand.
All right.
Right. So we'll light the candle and sort of keeping it far away, of course. I don't want to burn the thing. But
It's vellum. It's pretty robust. Yeah, looking at it, no, it doesn't appear like there's any specific markings. It's just all above board and signed by this abacus general.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the local works and the seal of the family is marked upon it. And the family is the Rattant family.
Wow.
But it appears there are no more belongings here. Fine Arby Tootright, please make an intelligence roll for me.
Goodness, 17.
Oh. You remember a reasonably undocumented summer house somewhere nearby, a few suburbs over, that wasn't always on the records. It was
that is
a single tower that we would get away to in a place called Mercy Vale.
Mercy Vale. Well, if the Rattants have gone anywhere, I would assume they would be chilling out on their not quite on the books little patio. Now, before we leave, does anyone want to partake of the mud pit? I myself have been all mud pitted out today, so I'm good.
10 cents.
It is just 10 cents from what I am led to believe.
That's right.
No. It's much, much too hard to sneak around when you've got other little small things following you.
I have not got the time to fill in the forms necessary.
Right then. And I will signal to the pitmeister. Would you look at that? And as he turns, I will shove him in the back and into the pit.
Well, you are a noble after all. It's only natural. Much to the cries of, my delicious clothing! You gallivant into the distance until eventually going through a few suburbs, and this is a very good driver. They seem to be avoiding most of the traps. There is a slim chance, however. Please, can I have a percentile roll from one of you? You choose.
I can do it.
Excellent.
Yep, thank you.
Sure. Yes, please.
Point.
Well, you are official with your documentation.
45%.
You manage to avoid all the traps in any given suburb on the way over, as the Plains Lizard driver seems to know what they're doing and excellently makes their way through, and you stop in Mercy Vale. I'm assuming you're feeding the driver money for the purpose of going through suburbs?
Yes, I'm feeding the driver money, and as we climb out of the thing, I'm going to find a little tiny goblin selling news sheets and basically flip it, a copper coin. As it's delightedly grabbing it, I'll pick it up and toss it to the lizard, and it will eat it.
It sure will. The lizard is very happy, and the driver is also very happy. You stare across the way at what appears to be a crooked white tower rising up above various red brick tenements that make up most of the other buildings in Mercy Vale. This is a particularly interesting suburb trap-wise. All of there's a layer of grease upon the ground. And if you fall in certain places, you'll just keep going down.
Love it.
So like quicksand, but for grease. What I'm hearing.
So I will flip my polo mallet over to the other side and use it like a fancy walking stick.
To sound out the pavers, just to make sure they're not going to collapse
Exactly.
beneath you. Excellent.
Yep, and strut over to the tower.
All right. The tower appears to have no doors, but one window high upon it.
Hmm.
I'm going to follow in
It's
fine
immaculately whitewashed.
Yeah.
Whitewashed.
Arby's,
But
following
even now,
fine Arby's footprints so that I can travel safely.
Yes.
Is there a bell?
there appear to be no fixtures upon the ground floor. You do, however, notice a wisp of smoke arising from a single chimney atop the White Tower.
Go back and grab some of the newsprints that were left by the tiny urchin.
Okay.
And then you can
there is another
make a little
tiny
news-
urchin selling those newsprints.
Right. I'll purchase one for a copper or whatever it is,
Okay.
and then come back and be like, well, make a little aeroplane, dexterous fingers, and do you want to write a message on this? We can hurl it in through the window.
I'm going to write a message on there. Let us up, you sniveling bastard. Kisses. Fine Arby.
Oh, you do like these people.
I would like you to make a persuasion roll for me, thank you.
20.
Okay.
Oh, plus my 22.
Who would like to make the dexterity roll?
Oh, me.
Sure.
16.
All right, very well. It catches a draft. The oil is hot. The sun is starting to go up now, which is heating the pavement. So the updraft takes the plane in through the window. You hear a "oh!"
And poke an eye out with
followed by a
that.
crinkling sound. You hear a Arby?
Dad?
Arby? Is it really you?
Yes, Dad. Are you okay?
How do I know it's really you?
Well, look out your window and I'll strut up and down the street a little bit.
What if you have an incredibly large pole ready to poke me in the eye hole when I look out the window?
Well, like every other time, you're just going to have to take that chance, Dad. Live a little.
Give me another persuasion roll, please.
18. Oh, 20 with the +2.
And you see,
I guarantee you it will
the
be
first
worth
thing
it.
you see is a long, wispy eyebrows, like start to lead the way, followed by a few spawns of white hair, and then this eyeball reflecting the midday sun. Looks down, Arby, it's you.
I walk away up the street a little bit and then I look back.
No, come back. I desperately need tea and some kind of cake.
I'll come to your rescue.
The
We can find tea
circumstances are
and cake.
dire.
Do you have any specific requests apart from some form of cake and tea? Or do we just bring all of them?
I mean,
It has to be the two that
variety
work
is
together.
nice, but I have been hankering for slopberry ever since I ran out about a week ago.
Oh, Dad.
Nobody
didn't
serves
realize.
me up here. I can't trust anyone.
This is no way to live. I admire your gumption for having not plunged yourself off that tower and into the street to slip away down to the lower classes.
I haven't changed my clothes in about a month and a half. I'm starting to breed involuntarily.
Ooh. Oof.
Do you know how that
this is-
worries one?
More and more mouths to feed, your total lack of cake.
Also, your inheritance gets split quite substantially.
I don't know how many of the urchins selling papers in this neighborhood are mine.
One less.
Thank goodness for that. Gosh, if it wasn't for you, Arby, I don't know what I'd do. Those days we spent on the polo field, slamming rabbits around like nobody's business.
Those rabbits weren't going to slam themselves.
No, What a time! Look, just come on up here, old Charmin. Let's have some tea and cake.
Let me get my men, my goblins here to fetch us some proper cake, and then you can let the ladder down.
Very well. I mean, if it's you, Arby.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of unrolls, and then a rope ladder comes down.
I look to Drim and Dot Point and go, well, you heard the man. Go get some
Surely you
cake.
can get one of these underlings, one of these newspaper reseller things to go and get some cake and bring it back to us.
Yes,
I am.
Dot Point seems to be in a bit of a predicament. They're currently surrounded by about 20 of them, insisting that they buy papers.
Mm-hmm. Get away, little dance.
I'm going to tell one of them to go and get a selection of cakes, and then I'm going to look at you, fine Arby, pointedly.
Are they still? Is that champion turkey still hanging in the window? Go buy it, Tiny Tim,
Wait for your hand over
and
some
get
money.
yourself something nice too.
All right, well, Tiny Tim runs off into the distance with your money.
I don't think he's coming back. This
You
is
promise
why
him
we
more
did
money
not
when he
ask.
gets back.
Drim, it's up to you. Go get some cake.
Oh, I'm going to slack along to the nearest shop and buy the cheapest cake I can find and
And
pocket
if
the
you
rest of the
can,
money.
get the money back from that other little scallywag.
He's gone.
Sir.
He's too fast.
You're about
Well-
waist deep in scamps at the moment, Dot.
Yeah, I'm going to climb up, I think.
To the cries of, it's copper! They're still learning how to speak. They're very young.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably have to kick a couple off the ladder as well.
Yes, it does.
I won't
happen.
have to, but I will anyway. Shh.
Look, it's just a mode of existence. You eventually make your way up, and Drimhank, you return all together. I do need you to make a dexterity test just to see what state the tea and cakes are in by the time you make it to the top.
Oh, 21.
Phew.
Immaculate.
Mm-hmm. I think they got better.
And Dan is like, Harvey, you don't know what you've done. I've been living on almost nothing at all for so long. My cupboards are full of nothing but bread and fungus and marmalade. A man can't live on marmalade alone.
Oh, disgusting.
What about the bread and the marmalade? What if you combine the two?
Wouldn't eat bread. It would kill you.
Oh, no. That's why they have that saying. Something about cake. I can't remember the rest of it.
Yes, you must eat cake. I believe
Yes.
on a Sunday and preferably other days as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bread is not... It's just not done. Not done, damn it.
It's underrated and overdated. Anyway, fine, Arby, I can't tell you how hard my life has been. This one terrible goblin, some abacus man, came into my life, and I trusted him so much, and then he just told me I was all out of money. There was nothing left, and I had to start selling things off. And then they started coming for me in the night. You know, it wasn't just him, these little black, shadowy creatures crawling around, taking away other members of my family and service staff. I'm the only one left.
You're it?
Yeah.
Dad! That means that
Bant and
if there's
Ant
anything...
and Fant.
Pant?
Yes, all of them. They're all gone.
They're all gone. But that means whatever is left is yours.
I mean, I did.
As long as there's anything left.
It's just this tower. And me, I went to the Central Archives. I hassled them.
Oh.
I went to see what was going on with my estate. But when I went there, I couldn't find any of the documents.
Did you fill out the proper forms?
I mean, of course I got somebody else to fill them out for me. This nice...
This is sounding
young administrative
exactly...
goblin. I mean, I don't know if they were young. I imagine they're all young. They're shorter than me. You see, he's actually quite a tall, spindly goblin with very fine features, an incredibly long, wispy nose that comes down across its chin in a striking fashion.
It's the dant nose.
Distinctive in its way.
Mm-hmm. It's dantastic. This is sounding exactly like has happened to me. Although I think I'm not as far along the process. I have some absolute menace called Burn Rabble Chonk, who has been administering my family funds, which have been dwindling away to literally nothing.
That's what happened to me. I was innocently philandering day and night, and I would come back to another brick being sold out from underneath me. Without
I'm down to
access.
my last tens of thousands. As far as I've been told anyway, I can't suffer on this.
I wish I was as wealthy as you all. I have this scant tower. And I don't even know what's going on. I think they're coming for me, Arby. I think they're coming for me. I don't know how long I have. These creatures, they want
we have
all
this
the things
thing.
I have. They tried to take
Look.
all our documentation. I took all the documentation I could from our house. Diaries,
Where did you put
books, everything. Well, right over here. Starts just pushing aside some accumulated filth and discarded cake, unwashed dishes that just seem to have been building up on the top of this tower.
Whole roast pig.
Well, I don't have anyone to roast it for me. Or to clean these dang dishes.
Okay.
It's like they don't clean themselves.
If these things are coming for you at nighttime and trying to take you away or something along those lines, maybe we could lay in wait and use you as bait and capture these things that are trying to attack you.
Dot has pounced on the documents and is
Dot,
currently.
I would like you to make a library use roll with advantage.
Oh, that seems like something that I should be good at.
That can be your choice of intelligence or wisdom.
Let's go with intelligence. That's a 21.
So, going through the documents, you find that the records, in particular, there's lots of odds and ends and bits and pieces. This guy clearly didn't know what he was gathering. He just grabbed a bunch of random stuff. But amongst them, you do find a diary that seemed to have been written by his grandfather, who may or may not have had some administrative goblin blood in him. For in this diary, he intently and in great detail covers the preparation of the 13th Legion for its quest to go and uncover the hidden hideouts, the stronghold of the cult of the Hag Mother in the verdant wastes to the deep south of Zarth. It appeared they had uncovered a sect of this cult and a variety of goblins, a general had been put in charge. The whole legion had been mustered and sent. They had taken various assets, resources, treasures. Each cohort had a sacred banner, and the standard of the legion itself was taken, never returned. Of course, with that 21 that you rolled, there is one thing that you notice above all else, and that is the main administration goblin assigned to the 13th Legion was one Dewey Decimal.
Oh, interesting.
Just a name that comes up here and there. But yes, sent, never returned. Or at least no one talks about it so much these days. It is definitely something you could take up with Lucian Fitzmac if you wanted to. Or you could pursue other avenues.
I wonder if they've been captured by the ravishing hordes.
Ravishing
Perhaps
hordes
they
are
managed
plain
to
dwellers.
find
They don't hang out in
the
the verdant
cult.
wastes, deep, dark swamps.
What is the relationship of the Hag Mother with our city and the cults?
Well,
It's heresy.
yes, of course. Oh my god, the foolishness of it. We all know that goblins are immaculately conceived from the earth itself. Look how we procreate. Oh, there's another one. Oh god, get it away from me.
I know we've occasionally visited, scandalous theatres and nightclubs.
Those dirty, heretical cultists of the Hag Mother, they believe that goblins were originally born from the bodily refuse of ancient hags. What?
Ugh.
No, we did it ourselves. Chosen of the dirt mother we were. Ask any Zarth mystic, they'll tell you.
Do they convert? Is that what's gone on? they've converted to the Hag Mother, and so therefore they shouldn't have any of these things anyway. Maybe, fine Arby, your family's been converting to the Hag Mother all along.
Maybe they've been
What?
murdered by the Hag Mother's cultists.
Yes, we would not have sunk to the disgusting depravity of the Hand Mother. We have different depravities.
Well, there's a whole
Thank you
legion
very
being sent
much.
south. I'm sure they're just down there having a vacation, extended vacation in the verdant wastes or something. It's possible. Maybe
They're just on maneuvers.
extended maneuvers.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to find them, that's all. And then we'll all be
Yes.
fine, won't we, Arby? He reaches over and hugs you.
We'll be totally fine. I'll hug him back and pat him on the back, and I'll just go to the other two. Now,
Right. Then we need to figure out who this Dewey Decimal person is and which way they went, and maybe we can track down what's going on here.
One thing that this piece of information does give you, Dot Point, is the start of an argument that you could present to higher-ups or another party to prove that, in fact, the Legion did exist. This is circumstantial evidence, and that perhaps something does need to be done about it. You do know that the Legion was preparing to head to the Verdant Wastes. Did they? Did they not? This is the information that's missing.
All right.
and that could help us discover whether the 13th Legion is out on maneuvers or if they are sadly dead, leaving me the sole heir of my entire family fortune. Which would be purely coincidental to our
Well,
affairs,
you could simply just kill off your family relatives in the 13th Legion if we did find
Well,
them.
I can't. They're in the 13th Legion.
And it's
I don't
lost!
know where they
lost! It's lost!
I wish. I mean, no. For the betterment of everybody, including Dad right here, then we should really find them and bring them back to their proper homes in Zarth.
So we have some points that we need to chase down. We need to chase down, although all of the evidence has been hidden. Surely there must be merchants involved in this. People who sold food and weapons and armor to the Legion before it marched out.
I think there may be a hidden band of administrative goblins that are obscuring everything. Not good ones like you, Dot, but
Of course.
nasty spendthrift money disappearing ones like Burn Rabble and this whole Abacus person.
I have a whole manifesto
Abacus,
about this sort of thing, that these goings on. All these administrative goblins collecting forms, collecting all of your data, and being able to figure out all the things that you do, and then they target you with advertising, and it makes you want to buy more and more cakes and things.
Well, Dot Point, this tangent, while it may be absolutely depraved rabble, does bring you to one conclusion that sticks in your brain. And that is that if administrative goblins were responsible for the disappearance of these records, they would not, in fact, be disappeared, but misplaced. Because you know for a fact that no matter how corrupted an administrative goblin gets, they would never cross the line of destroying records. They'd just move them elsewhere.
Misfiled, perhaps. Or just the documentation would be put in to transfer them to a new location. That would only be done through certain subsections, and that information will not be readily available to the general populace. So, of course, you'd have to apply for a specific format or a form or a permit to read them. But if you didn't know that the permit was needed, then you wouldn't know that you need to apply for the permit. What I'm saying is that there is a lot of possibilities here.
Can we not just
But
break into
that paperwork
the...
would probably have been filed at some point.
Could we just not break in
Yes.
and take it and find it?
What do you
Or-
mean?
Request them violently.
Well, we could request them non-violently from one of the chief administrators, perhaps.
Well, we could ask nicely to start off with, and then violently if they don't give us what we want.
I think the term you're looking for is when they don't.
So there are good administrative goblins. Not everybody can be involved in this conspiracy we speak of, or else there would be nothing going on in this city.
Well, If I'm just saying, if we happen to maybe murder Burn Rattle Chonk, then
If he has violated his goblin oaths as a goblin administrator, then he will be dealt with, I assure you, in a most efficient way.
well then, I think that is a plan.
Hmm.
Let's get a mallet and some quills.
The quills are involved.
Quills are involved. So, will you relocate? The last known location of your aforementioned Bird Rabble Chunk is at
Mhm.
your estate. Fine, RB2, right?
At my that blighter, he'd set up an office in the stateroom.
It is exactly what he did.
That's the one with the best son for getting a little bit of a greening going on.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you he's not even using it.
Probably lines up.
Right.
Probably
well,
wearing clothes.
Dant, you've got some cake. I think you'll be safe right now, but if it's not anybody but me, don't let them in, and then you won't be eaten by a stitched together panther, okay? So you stay here. We're going to go and sort this right out.
I will! There are stitched together panthers out there in the world. What?
No, there's no such thing as stitched together panthers.
He nervously
One less
whistles
of
his
them.
much to
We killed the one. It's fine. I'm going to start climbing down. And when I get to the
do
bottom, I'm
come
going to
back
put
soon, Arby. Like, you're always welcome. Just like
Farewell.
knock.
I'll hurl something heavy down to distract the urchins and then climb down myself.
All right, you do so. Were you asking the plains lizard to wait?
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
It was a very good plains
None of the
lizard.
urchins are there anymore.
Thank God. They must have gone on their lunch break.
Lunch was involved.
That's very
The plains
helpful.
lizard takes you on board and lumbers slowly at a little less speed. But nonetheless, enthusiastically to your home, to your manor house, fine Arby.
I think it's picked up some ballast.
Will you eventually make your way through? I would like one of you to please make a percentile roll.
Who's up? Oh, I can hear dice.
Take it away, Matt Lee.
37.
Getting close, you narrowly avoid several waist-height mounted baluster that fire 2-meter-long iron bolts across the pathway as you make your way through Bracken Hole.
Ooh, that was close.
Of course, the plains lizard has such large feet, they managed to not fall into any of the dog pits and not deposit you there. You do, however, in short order, arrive outside of your manor house. At this point, you see a crane from the local municipality, a large wooden crane from the local municipality, currently in the state of disassembling one of the higher towers upon your building.
I don't remember buying a crane.
Oh, it's not yours, says Burn Rattle Chonk. Not until you're 102, young son. And you all see a reasonably tall administrative goblin with a mid-length curled wig. Obviously, the amount of curls on the wig showing the mark of their station. But they're not stationed at the tower. They're of middling rank. And you notice some odd things dot point. There appear to be 1 or 2 flourishes upon their gown. Definitely out of order.
What?
Like, so obviously your estate costs a large amount of money, and we need to get through day by day. It's got to be
Can I
sold
see-
off, you know? Make the
What's
most
the
of the
forms you filled
situation.
in for this?
What forms am I filling? Obviously a B36 75X and Y2. Okay.
In triplicate, I hope.
I have copies here, if you'll show me your seal.
I will show you my seal if you'll show me your seal.
I will show you my seal. And then they engage in a dance. So, dot point, you step immediately at this point off the
Mhm.
Plains Lizard, and you engage in a proper greeting of administrative goblins, where you do several turns, walk around in the right ways,
Mhm.
examine documents, handshake, state the right arguments, counter arguments, and in fact, everything does check out. But I would like you, please, to make a wisdom roll for me,
Mhm.
and it's going to be a contested wisdom roll. So just give me your
Oh.
total.
I would like to use my long memory to determine what is going on here.
You can take advantage.
Try. All right. That is a only wisdom. You said
Yes.
14.
Throughout the course of the formalities,
Mhm.
you find his handwriting wanting, particularly on the Y2K form for requisitions, and you find that it is marked with sweat, obviously caused by one in stress, who is probably under duress, which naturally occurs in administrative goblins when they are performing imperfect actions.
Sir,
Sir,
your Y2K form. Your comma is misplaced.
you see his eye starts twitching. What? That's
And your
impossible!
you must have been under such. It's all right. We know.
Yes, Dot. You can do it. Stick it to this fancy lad.
You must have been under so much stress. But it's okay. You can tell us who's been forcing you to violate your sacred oaths.
Okay.
And
Please make a your choice of charisma, strength, wisdom. Actually, no, intelligence. You can use intelligence for intimidation. Thank you.
all right, I will. That is a 1. So no. Well, it's
I'm under
but-
no kind of coercion at all. He says, his eyes wildly flashing up to the top left. Nothing's forcing me. It was obviously a honest mistake. Now that in itself is a telling sign, because
I'm using my special
nobody
specs
makes honest mistakes. Yes.
to kind of read his aura, to kind of get that
uh-huh.
vibe as to whether or not he's telling the truth or not, and whether he's stressed.
Give me a wisdom perception roll
At
at advantage.
Thank goodness. 6.
This is the special specs. Look, he definitely seems on edge.
I need to
He's
clean them.
definitely not calm and collected like all the other administrative goblins that you've seen before.
I'm going to follow the way his eye was twitching up to the top left. Is he looking at somebody who is overlooking this scene, or is it just a random twitch?
It appears to be a random twitch, but give me a wisdom roll for perception, please.
13.
There seems to be some kind of crumpled piece of paper shoved behind his left ear.
It's like that magic coin trick.
I will step dramatically off the lizard. Whether we have been on this whole time. I'll step down onto its leg and onto the gutter and stride across the street to reach up behind its ear and go, et voila!
All right.
Here is some refuse, and I'll chuck it over the thing. Keep yourself together, man.
Okay, so you pull it out and you notice there's writing on the piece of paper. As you throw it away, dot
To
point,
Dot.
you like immediately with your nimble fingers pluck it out of the air and pull it down before you. You realize immediately that you need to pull out your codex, because it is also written in the dark tongue used by fiends and ancient hags. And in this dark tongue, it reveals that there is a invitation. It's laid out in such a way that is particularly this person. You are officially invited to high tea tonight Tardiness will not be tolerated! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Restraint, no third exclamation mark. Bring sweetmeats. It is addressed specifically to Rabble Chonk and is written in the dark tongue. It appears there's
Wow.
some kind of meeting happening this very evening.
An invitation to a meeting, then?
What? How did that get there? It must have stuck to
Administrator
my
Chonk.
yellow lump fungus as I rolled over in bed.
Well, good news then, Mr. Chonk. You've got some guests to bring along with you to this meeting.
No,
But luckily,
it's a
we can afford sweetmeats.
invite only for me. It says right there. See? Only for me.
I'm going to hit him
You
on the
notice
head.
that the address is a location in the slums.
Hmm.
Oh, there is an address?
You know,
Excellent.
just bop him over the head. He's not conscious. He can't go.
Okay, well, seeing as you are creeping up from behind, he's rather nervous. You give him a smacking on the head, and he falls completely to the ground before you, crumpling.
Yes.
All right.
And then you can direct those other goblins to stop pulling the top of your tower off.
You there! Put that back! I paid for that! Well, somebody paid for that.
Whoa,
We're not in debt.
we're under orders.
Well, these orders are being rescinded right now.
Yeah, but somebody else also paid for this, so, I've got the right documentation.
I'll examine the documentation.
It is correct.
I'm sorry, it is correct.
Well, then reverse it.
Hang on, wait.
But
If you hold up the chonk man, we can wave his arm around
Yes.
and do some sort of like puppetry with his mouth and make it seem like he's giving an order to stop.
no, they have documents.
You see dot points left eye twitching.
So we can file something.
A
You can-
countermeasure. Yes. But
Yes, like turn it upside down or something.
No. We'll have to file a countermeasure, which is fine. It'll just take a little bit of time. We'll get them to reverse the decision a bit later.
Well, maybe they could go for a drink while you're waiting to fill out the countermeasure form.
Well, it's getting kind of late. You've been running around all over town, gone past midday, and dusk is quickly approaching. For you to even make it to the slums for this meeting, you would have to hustle the heck out of here.
This crane, how sturdy are all of its legs? One of them has got to be a little bit of a
They're city municipality
questionable.
cranes. They're
so terrible.
Right.
no, very well made. Look, the city municipality is not second rate. They have been stealing people's building parts since time immemorial.
Yeah, but
They know the value of a good building part, and they will get it down with only the best equipment.
but surely
When
there's like
you
a
need to take someone's siege equipment because they've violated the street-to-street fighting laws,
isn't there like
get out of there.
a
Fine.
6
A good
p.m.
crane is a
cutoff?
fine asset.
All right. Look, we don't have time for this. To properly fill out the form will take at least a small amount of time. And I think your roof is less important than turning up to this meeting.
You take that.
Maybe Dot Point can fill out the
What?
form on the way while we go on the lizard to this meeting. So by the time we finish the meeting,
Alright.
we should be able to then put the form in, and maybe they can reverse the removal of the top of your house
Or we could replace it with a finer.
from the one across the road.
Oh, that's okay then.
Yes.
Oh, that one. Well, yes, absolutely that one. Yes. The one with the catapult.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a distinct improvement.
All
All right, I'm
right.
hopping back on the lizard.
Lizardo, the slums.
What are we doing with Vulnerable Chonk?
Do you have a
Currently
moat?
lying on the ground unconscious.
Do you have?
I'm going to drag him into the
Funny
house.
though, because now that you see him and he's slightly disheveled, or now that they're slightly disheveled, you see where their robe is coming away, you can see slightly luminescent sigils marked on their body.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm going to drag Burn, Rabble, Chonk at least inside the house before disrobing them.
Can I compare those sigils to anything that I've got written down in my book of everything?
Yes, you can also compare them to the codex. These ones, actually, the marks on the body, don't seem to be any coherent writing. They seem like a text. Like, they seem to have meaning that is outside of the codex that you have access to, which either means they're older or of a different dialect from your understanding.
Do they glow with the candle at all, or
They
are
glow
they just
all on
regular?
their own.
This is very unnatural. Have I had anything about this in my book? Strange sigils.
What do you get in your roll?
Give me a roll, please. Intelligence.
Yeah,
you can have an advantage because you have notes on everything.
Okay, that's good because the first roll I did was a 2. Oh, guess what? I need new dice or a dice charm. That's a 1.
Oh,
get yourself a dice charm, ladies and gentlemen. Cephalopede's dice charms now available on the internet through the quest suppliers and other people. Find me at CanCon. We'll be there selling dice charms. Dice charms, dice charms. Just hit me up online, or if you're in Melbourne, go to the This Is Not a Toy Scene store in the city and get yourself a dice charm
has
there.
been working a charm.
That's the Great Tomato in dice charm form.
Yeah.
That's right, boys and girls. Cephalopede's dice charms. They work.
Because I don't have one here, clearly. Yeah, it was a total of 4. Actually, 5, because my first roll was a 2.
You're not certain. Definitely something to do with the Hag Mother. That's all you know.
I'm going to. Drim, Dot, give me a hand. Let's
tie him up.
Well, I was going to say let's restrain him in the tortutorium. It's just upstairs.
No, just.
Sure, you keep your tortutorium in the basement.
No.
Oh, you want the blood flow to come down.
Well, we also have a tortutorium in the basement, but this one is the better one.
Besides, part of the torture is dragging people up the stairs.
Exactly. So we'll clamp them in manacles, suspended from the ceiling, and
you have secured your prize
on a tray, just further away than they can.
Off to the meeting. Chop chop.
But the bread is within reach.
You do know that doesn't. Anyway.
You rush off. You make your way through the other suburbs and then eventually into the slums. The first thing that hits you is the stench, not just of troglodytes, but the effluence that flows from great pipes into the vast mire that forms the Zaranthul slums, the place where people cannot afford to live in the city. In fact, it is not just destitute goblins fallen from grace, other creatures that are closer to goblins, but also the strange races. The ones that do survive here and try and make a living for themselves. The humans. The legacy races. Never wanted to integrate, and nor would they. Successfully. So stinky. You smell them even now. In their little clusters. Rubbing against each other to procreate like freaks.
For real, not just pretends for kicks.
They get off on anything you say. Don't get near a human. They'll rub up against you. But you make your way through, and the large plains lizard is just staying around, keeping all the urchins at bay. Sorry, what was that, Doc?
We will stop off to get some sweetmeats.
Of course. Easily acquired on the way. And eventually, you come to what appears to be a reasonably industrial area where there are larger structures, warehouses of sorts, sort of built up in small clusters here and there, as all buildings in the slums are built in clusters leaning against each other without the, rigid formal construction requirements of the inner city to guide them. They're all lean-tos in one degree or another. But the address as written is just the other side of the Refuse River by a large cluster of warehouses. And eventually you start to catch sight of other characters a little more well-dressed than they should be. And here and there you spot, Dot, the distinctive signs of curls of rank worn specifically on the wigs of administrative goblins peeking out from beneath robes attempting to be used to make them look quite conspicuous as they file hither and thither towards what is the address that you are seeking. How would you like to approach?
So, how are we going to get in?
Now,
You
Doc,
have an
this may be
invitation.
insensitive.
Yeah.
Can you appear to look like Burn Rabble Chonk?
How do you mean? Well, I don't have the dark tongue scrawled all over me.
Well, I presume Burn Rabble wouldn't be turning up nude.
I hope not. Perhaps we could get some kind of hooded cloak or some kind of thing.
Is there a back door?
What is the building? How are we approaching? I suppose. Is there
So
a?
as you come through what appears to be a reasonably wide street, you see it breaking off into smaller arterial streets, and various shanty houses of 2 to 3 floors on average are clustered together around what now looks like a cluster of much larger warehouses. The smoke and fumes coming out from these smaller shanty houses indicates an area of industry where the smells of cooking, tanning, and burning of fuels all mixed together with the general sense of effluence that flows both through the refuse river and is strewn about the streets here and there, except, of course, where it is collected for resale and repurposing. Piss pots line the street here and there, and the building itself seems to be a central cluster of about 5 or 6 warehouses just leaning against each other until one sort of protrudes on top. And it is, in fact, indicated in the invitation that it is the utmost warehouse of this cluster where this meeting is happening, on the top floor. And you do see a dim purple light just slowly issuing from around that area. They've probably put some effort into decorating in anticipation of the high tea.
It's nice they've made the effort.
Looks like there are both numerous ways to climb up the building if you wanted to approach it from the outside, but also there are, as it is a warren-like structure directly adjacent to plenty of other warren-like structures, you could try and make your way through from a different direction. It doesn't appear that the people who are entering the building are entering from a uniform direction. You witness 2 or 3 different incognito administrative goblins approaching from separate ways. But you count all up no more than 15 before you feel that the time is getting nigh before you should take action to make an appearance, if in fact that is what you want to do.
Maybe sneaking in from one of these other Warren-y places.
I think so. Let's try and sneak in sideways and then go up.
Who would like to lead the sneaky way?
I'm sneaky, but my dice are cursed.
Well, I would like the 3 of you then to each make a stealth roll. Obviously, dot point. If the whole party moves at half pace, then you get a buy on that.
Yeah. I will insist that we do so.
Excellent.
And I'd like to try hiding in plain sight.
This
seems.
Drim Hank and Fine Arby Tootwright, 15th, please both make.
I'm good at sneaking. Can I have an advantage?
Absolutely correct.
Yes.
I'm good at being seen, but I'm going to concentrate on being pretty instead. I got a 19 on the dice.
On disadvantage, please.
That would be a 1 on the dice.
Okay.
I got a 19. So.
The tomato gives and the tomato taketh away.
I got a 19.
All right. Well, look, overall, you make for an average stealth test of, I believe,
2.
11. And wherever you are noticed, the people are distracted by you throwing them money. Fine, I'll be too right.
Coins! Oh, is this gold?
Until eventually, you make your way up onto the roof of one of the adjoining structures to the main warehouse. And you are just like standing on the ledge, on the lip, where the warehouse that you're going into joins on to that. And you can even start to hear the goings on and conversation that is taking place in the middle of
Oh.
the floor.
We might,
Smells of cakes, tea of several varieties.
Ooh.
we might not even have to
Administrative
go in.
goblins would never drink intoxicants. However, dot point among the general chatter of 10001101110001, you do hear the occasional 2.
What? 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 What are these people? Do I recognize any of them if I try and peer around the corner?
Yes, you do. You recognize your 2 fellow students. And then finally, actually, no, that's all. No, there are a few other people that you do recognize just in passing. You don't know them well.
Mhm.
You've seen them here and there over the course of time. Administrative goblins do take stock. You have a long memory, after all.
Yes.
But you notice a lot of them from different levels of society. More of them are younger ones than others, but it appears that many of them have been affected. And in this environment, they seem to be showing off their strange glowing markings to each other, wearing them in the
Interesting.
open, in this secret conclave. Of course, they also have an immaculate spread
Of
All those
course.
cakes.
laid out in alphabetical order.
Yes.
There's no B. Bread is not on the mark.
There is no bread here. This is a no
There's
bread
no bread
fair.
there. Are you saying that there's no bee cakes?
None.
Across the main room where the tea is happening, spread out
Mhm.
on rugs upon the floors
Mhm.
with decorative trays, you do, however, see that a rather fancy looking tent has been set up on the far side on a raised platform. And everyone seems to be avoiding it or moving in reverence to it at all times.
Wow.
You also notice that it is square and would perfectly accommodate bookshelves and scroll racks.
Hang on. Have they been taking all these documents and taking them here?
Very probably.
Do you recognize any of your colleagues who have disappeared here? Have they instead been recruited?
No, you have not
No.
recognized any.
Maybe we should throw down some sort of Molotov-ish cocktail to the tent and then watch as they scurry in and take out whatever is in there. And then we can confirm that there's scrolls and books, potentially before all of them
What
burn
if the
up.
scrolls and books are burnt, though?
That's slightly the point, Dot.
No. That's not the point. We want to get the scrolls as evidence.
Ah, yes, this is true. We want to see them before they're burnt.
We don't want to destroy all of the evidence.
Plus,
And
it's a
the
waste of a
scrolls.
perfectly good
Ah.
cocktail.
Fire alarm. They'll think there's a fire when in fact there isn't. So we just need some smoke.
This is the slums. They don't have fire alarms.
They do have smoke,
They
though.
do have smoke. It's currently everywhere and burning your eyes.
Ugh. They're red, but not in a good way.
Can we sneak around to get into the back of the tent?
Yes, if you would like so. You are still like on the roof, so you're sort of just like where
Yes.
the roofs of the adjoining buildings come up and hit the warehouse. That's sort of like you can just sneak around that way if you like.
Yes, let's do that.
I would like you guys to make another group stealth check if you are all
right.
engaging in this activity.
15.
16.
17.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You guys make your way
That's-
around the outside. You come upon the back of the building. The only problem with this side of the building is that there are no windows going in.
But it's, you could go underneath the bottom
How-
of the tent. It's a tent.
No, so
Well-
the tent is inside the room. The warehouse has wooden walls.
We do have a
How
saying in
firm
Polo.
are the wooden walls?
Well, would you like to make a intelligence
You read my
investigation
mind.
check, please? Anyone can do it.
Yes.
We have a saying in Polo, in where you have a mallet, the world is your window.
That's loud, though. 19.
And as if to punctuate the point, a little bit of wood gets pushed aside, and you can see through the hole that has now been created, there is in fact the backside of the fence. The tent, sorry, backside of the tent.
Sneak through.
Not with just the one plank. You'll have to remove yet another plank, and then you could all fit through that one.
I can remove some more planks if plank removal is the key. And then the rest of you can sneak in, and I can stand out here looking fabulous and on guard.
I like this plan.
14 for my plank removing.
Okay, the plank removing isn't actually that difficult, but the nails holding it together may squeak. So please make a dexterity roll to try and remove them in silence. Fine, Arbitute, right?
Okay. I am good at showing off, so I'm going to demonstrate just how perfectly I can remove these nails with grace and aplomb.
Yeah, and what'd you get?
I got a 17.
Oh, okay. There is now a hole big enough for any one of you or all of you one at a time to fit through. You can see the back of the tent. You are hard up against it. It's a little bit, it's at like your chest height. So you just like crawl up and in and under it because it's on a raised platform at that level.
Excellent. I'm going to sneak in through to the tent. 20.
So you pick up the lip at the back of the tent, and like a worm wiggling in, you come up between two bookshelves. You eyeball around the room, hidden
Also
as
hidden.
best you can, and you see that it is laid out in a very well organized manner. A single square carpet sits in the middle of the floor, upon which sits a square desk, around which set evenly spaced bookshelves and scroll racks. There are mirror scroll racks, one on either side, and then hanging from the ceiling is a hammock. Now, with their back currently facing towards you, you see a figure in reasonably flamboyant purple robes, strange disjointed shoulders that peak up high on the edges. The rims of high-peaked tortoiseshell glasses rise up from either side of their head, mirroring the flow of their ears. And beneath robes, other appendages move. This creature may have once been a goblin. Why, even the wig they wear upon their head, with countless coils cascading all the way to the floor, dictates that they were once an administrative goblin of quite high rank. But what they are now, you're not sure. They don't seem to have noticed you.
I'm going to see if I can grab.
Dot Point, will you sneak in as well?
Yes.
Dot Point is already there and standing next to you. You just don't see them.
Slide some sort of a book or a scroll, the closest thing that I can reach quietly, off the shelf so that we can have a look at it. And I show it to Dot Point so that he can nod or shake their head to determine that it's something that's been stolen.
Dot Point is currently moving in slow motion.
Okay.
And what are you doing, Dot Point?
I am going to be examining the layout of the room to try and work out which archiving system they're using so that we can then track down the most pertinent information.
They seem to be using a contemporary cataloging system, regardless of the secret scrolls and secret flame. Well, actually, you don't have a flame on in here, so you're not sure if they have symbols on it. But like a quick glance at the spines, these are all records that have been stolen. And all of the records in this room have been stolen to do with the noble families or document sales and on sales, from what you can tell, based on their financial records. And also family trees. So you see some lineages, some records. You see a large army, legion catalog omnibus that specifically catalogs the contents of a legion, all of its troops, subordinates, names, and associates. It has lots of tags. All of these books have tags and marks and notes on them with little wax seals to note what has or hasn't been done. Someone has been using these as reference documents for quite some time to do some kind of monumental task. It is immaculately organized, and you can see exactly how it is organized. What is it that you seek to find here?
I think if there is, but ideally, sort of an explanation. But firstly, if there's information as regards the tooth rights, I would say.
You
Let's go
find
that
a section
first.
on lineages pretty quickly,
Mhm.
and I'm going to need you to make a stealth roll
Okay.
for me.
While Dot's moving
Because-
around, I'm going to get my blow dart at the ready in case things go
Okay.
badly.
Okay, you are in fact at the ready.
Do I have an advantage
You
on
do.
this? Or
Shoot Dot so that they're blissfully asleep when you all.
it's very
Goes
good that I have advantage. 15.
Okay, cool. You seem to be moving around unmolested at this point. And you find the family lineages. You find a book documenting the Tootwright family tree. In fact, it's a scroll. Rebel. It's got all the heraldries and associated things. The document appears to be in order. There are notes next to all the names, marking off all the ones that are deceased. And it appears that fine Arby Tootwright is, in fact, the last in the generation. And there are marks next to both Arby Tootwright's father and grandfather, indicating that they are deceased, but these are not official marks. They are arbitrary marks made using the cataloging system that has been created by this creature in the middle of the floor.
We need stuff on the 13th Legion.
There is that
Yes.
Legion omnibus and many other documents on several shelves that seem to be associated with the 13th Legion. It's got a big
Let's go for the
1-3 on the side.
omnibus.
Okay, hit the omnibus. Now this is a big book, so you're going to have to make another stealth test for me.
I'm trying not to blow my dart in. Suck.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
blow. Blow gun.
Breathing through your nose.
Yeah.
12.
12 total.
12. Yes.
As you pull it out, it goes because it is a heavy book. You hear a crack, crack, crack as the creature on the floor turns to look in the direction of the book. You stop. You stand perfectly still, but the book is like hovering out of the wall. It's like, I see you.
I'm going to blow my dart gun.
Yep, of course. You have advantage because you are super close.
Okay, that's good. That
Even
is
give you
19.
absolutely hits.
Yeah.
But I roll a natural 20
Oh.
to resist your poison. But you can roll the damage.
That's a 1 plus my 3, so 4. Ooh, watch out.
Huh?
I'm dangerous.
Barely notices.
Like a bindi.
And also, what was your stealth roll?
My stealth.
You got like a 19, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, the stealth was
so-
20 when I got in.
Oh, yeah. So it looks around, looks at you. You're not alone, little ant. And reaches out as it sort of reaches out, its two arms come up, and from beneath its robes, two more arms come up, but the skin color is completely different, discolored. Along the inside of the arms, runes light up,
No.
sigils. I'd like you all to please roll initiative.
Okay. Well,
10.
6.
16.
Good. The
Yeah,
person
16,
outside the tent has the best.
You
just the
can,
tent.
Arby, however, hear what's
Mhm.
happening, and the thing you hear that really piques you is it's like, yes, little ant, I see you. Now prepare for the wrath of Dewey Decimal. It is time to stand up and be counted. What would you like to do? Fine, Arby, Tootwright the 15th?
Arby Tootwright the 15th is not going to stand for these nerds anymore. He's going to get his hammer and rush through the semi-rotten wall and barrel into the back of that tent, slamming his hammer
Give me a strength
at
roll.
anything that looks like a rabbit.
Give me a strength roll.
19.
Pwah. Boom! You are standing there like Drim Hank. You've like done your blow dart, slunk back into the space between the bookshelves in the crawl space. Dot point, you're kind of uncertain as to what to do as this creature is looming over you. It says stand up and be counted, but you're not sure if it's filled out the correct paperwork. And then all of a sudden, 3 bookshelves explode with a shower of paper and immaculately laid tags and scrolls unraveling, flying out in the environment. It's like a snowstorm of documentation filling the room, and then splinters fly across, and then the immaculately dressed figure of fine Arbitute Right stands saying,
"Let me introduce your betters!"
swinging the hammer.
Swinging the hammer. I get a 17 to hit with my hammer.
Yeah,
and then a 9 to hit with my head.
You use the head to smash through the wall. So it was your choice of hammer or head.
Perfect. Hammer it is.
Cool, damage.
Damage is 13 points from the polo mallet.
So you swing, it's like swings back, flying across the room. But it does so, it's like crick, 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 crick. And you see that a certain amount of damage, as much as the marks of the maul and the cracking of the bones affected their body, you see some of the bones start to correct themselves. And it turns around and starts, you see all those, raises all 4 arms, the marking light up, and it starts talking in the dark tongue. And I need you to please make a dexterity saving throw. Find Arbitute Right as arcs of purple electricity start rippling around the air, manifesting in the air around your body.
All right. Now, I am going to look too pretty to curse, if possible, and get a 14 on the dice for resisting this.
Unfortunately,
absolute
that is
nonsense.
not enough. And you find yourself trapped in an agonizing cage of purple electrical shards. You're sort of you're trapped inside, and you take 6 points of damage from this.
Petunia!
As crackles of purple energy march through you, and these lines are around your body, holding you in place. However, your trusty sidekick is outside of the cage. Dot Point and Drim Hank, I believe you're going at exactly the same time. So you choose who goes first.
I'm going after Drim.
Drim, what are you doing?
I'm going to flip out my bow and take a shot with the bow instead. And I just rolled a 9.
A piece of paper like flaps in your face and boom, arrow flies off.
Not too hard, switching over while trying to hide and staying alive.
All right. And would you like to move to be farther or closer?
Farther.
Staying on the periphery of this?
Yeah.
All right. Dot Point, what are you doing?
I'm going to insult Dewey's filing system. It's obviously been disrupted and is a violation of everything that we stand for. And then glare at him with a withering glare.
All right. Well, first, I would like you to state your argument. Please make an intelligence roll. This will be contested.
Okay. My argument is that it has misfiled things without proper documentation, and that it has denied other goblins the right to learn. It's destroying knowledge. It's removing knowledge.
Okay, cool. And now please make your intelligence roll to reinforce that argument. Let's see how well you do.
That is only a still 16.
Well, you definitely get their attention.
+3.
And nothing else has happened to them in this situation. And the only apparent threat is quite well caged. So,
Yes.
in their turn, well, fine RB2, right? It is your action. What would you like?
Petunia,
Mhm.
Savage, its bottom.
All right, Petunia rushes forwards. Please make an attack roll, Petunia.
Come on, Petunia, you can do it. You kind of can do it. Petunia gets a 10.
Petunia is petrified by the floating paper in the air, the deep-seated superstition of the intensely inbred plains proboscis-wielding parasite deer was paralyzed. Little side-slit eyes are blinking and blinking, light reflecting off the paper, not quite sure knowing what to do. Would you like to do anything yourself?
I would like to go, in dismay, looking beautiful, and showing off with my stylishly
Okay.
torn clothing and things. Can I potentially,
Smash your way out of the cage?
smack my way out of the cage or tip over a kind of try and get the whole cage itself to shove into one of the bookcases
You throw yourself
and send
violently
it
into the
toppling
cage
over.
in attempts to manipulate it in some way, shape, or form. Make a strength test.
That is a... I am looking really pretty while I'm doing it. It's more show than anything. Getting me a 12 on my strength test.
Okay, excellent. Look, you feel that there is some stretch and some push, and as you throw yourself into it, it pushes the bars aside a little bit, but before you can slip through, this wraps through. You take 2 more points of damage from the arcing lights. However, Dewey Decimal turns around and to Dot Point's like, correctly filed and organized, every form correctly laid by my associates. Nothing was amiss. We are wrapping everything up, and the loose ends left behind are you. A little twitch goes in his left eye, indicating that he doesn't 100%, well, they don't 100% believe their argument. There is some level of rationality that is missing. You have unhinged them, sir, and they are now entirely focused on the conversation with you. Drimhank, it is yours. What are you doing?
I am going to continue to hit with the bow. And 10 plus 5, 15.
The paper. She flies. They are, however, distracted. So, but it's not lessening their armor class.
Okay.
In fact, as a reaction, they just like drop shield, and a blue spark comes up to the side, and the arrow deflects.
No, okay. This is not effective.
They're like, it's like, there's nothing.
Right.
You accuse me of misfiling? It is all in order where it was until that Columbus came through and destroyed my order. And I believe it's you, Dot Point.
I filed applications for some of this documentation, and it was not brought at the proper time, at the proper place. It is therefore, I say to you, sir, misfiled and misplaced.
All right, and please make me another test. You are currently at the advantage in this situation. They are floundering at your supreme acumen and administrative skills. Is intelligence, please?
15.
At advantage, if you like.
Yes.
You see them, both eyes twitching. Not possible. Fine RB2, right? What are you doing? You're muted.
I am muted. Petunia, line up and we can get me out of this cage. It is distracted. It is not. It is.
Okay.
Yes, it is a weakness.
Make a wisdom roll at advantage for your animal friends.
Oof. Okay. My animal friend gets a wisdom roll of 18.
No, they can act as normal under your guidance this turn.
Ah, thank you, Petunia. Yes, eyes on me. Both of them. This way. And get me out of this cage.
Petunia throws
Yes.
themselves violently at the cage, but it just bounces clean off it. However, they are giving you a help action. They do take
Okay.
5 points of damage, which is reducing them to close to death.
Oof.
They are sacrificing themselves to you in this instance. If they take another hit, they will likely die. But you can make a strength roll at advantage.
Okay. I will burst out. I will burstish, outish with a 13 before being shocked, probably unconscious.
And you take 3 points of damage.
I am shocked unconscious.
Nice.
My shirt flies open, revealing my goblin-y chest in all of its magnificent form, and my nose and ears flop down, stunned.
So you're unconscious?
Unconscious.
Excellent. The cage disappears as Fine Ivy
I knew I had
falls into
solved it.
unconsciousness. In fact, it's true. But the crackling lights and the flame, I need Dot Point to sit up, please, and make a percentile roll as the paper is still
All right.
flying around the room.
It is a 26.
Well, in this situation, I believe you just cut the threshold. Some paper flying through an open flame catches. A ball starts spreading around. But Dewey Decimal seems to be caught in a conundrum. See, their brain is breaking. I filed all the forms, and others filed them for me. It's all done. Terrible order. They seem to be having an intellectual crisis. I did it all right. I did it right.
Oh no,
as they
you're
collapse
wrong. I'm going to take books off the shelf.
completely oblivious to everything that's going on in their environment.
And I'm going to start moving books along. No, you're wrong. It's meant to be
Falling
here.
beneath the withering glare of Dot Point and your impeccable logic. They did roll a natural one, by the way, to try and escape it.
Yeah.
So Drim Hank, you grab the things you need.
Yeah, well, I've
You're just
already got... I'm grabbing random books
Give
off
me
the
a wisdom
shelf
roll, please.
and putting them in different places.
You
well
can have
as-
wisdom at advantage because you do have notes on everything, so you should know exactly what you're looking for.
I am looking for... yes, 18.
Excellent. And you also Dot Point. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to be grabbing the Toothright Legacy Diary, and also at least the book of the Compendium of the 13th.
You look back as the flames start to erupt, building up in the room, moving on, and you guys are moving out through the hole that you created in the back of the tent, in the back of the warehouse.
Dragging the
and you look back at Toothright, and you see Tootright's loving companion just like trying to pull at them desperately. The girth of RB Tootright being left behind, not enough strength in the creature to pull him along.
I'm going to grab RB Tootright and try and drag him out with...
Drop the books and grab
I'll give you
Toothright?
the books and I'll grab RB.
But there are so many books.
We only need the important ones.
All of them are important.
They've got a point. You just literally saw them talk down a devout follower of the Hag Mother into an existential crisis. Are you sure? Okay.
It's what Toothright would have wanted. It's what I want.
Wisdom saving throw, please, Drim Hank. Wisdom saving throw.
That would be a 16.
Well, you look at the books, you look at Fine Arby, you look at the books and you look at Fine Arby, and you look at Dot Point, and you look at the bevy of other administrative goblins out there, and you realize how far rotten their obsessions have gotten. You shove a couple of semi-important papers in your tunic and grab what really matters, which is grabbing a deep hold of who really loves you, and that's Fine Arby
Yes.
Tootright.
There's no bad spot to grab. I'm all good.
And you drag your friend out of there, escaping as the fireball starts to erupt, of course, catching very quickly on the nearby industrial premises, in the half-built, terrible buildings, the shambles. The fireball starts spreading through the slums, but you have what you came for. The lizard is waiting, and you jump off and ride on into the sunset. Of course, this information, this all-important information that you have gathered, is something that you later put together in great detail while the money brought together by Fine Arby Tootright, the grim underworld investigation done by Drim Hank, and the fine, well-established, and immaculate accommodating made by Dot Point means that you were able to appeal with the support of Lucian Fitzmack, head of the Central Administration, to the Great Zarth themselves to apply for the funding required to launch an expedition to finally discover the true resting place and cause of the death, disappearance of the 13th Legion. Thank you so much for playing Goblins of Zarth. This has been Tabletop Dynasties and Associated Friends and Fun Times. We're going to be back in 1 week's time with a whole new 1 to 2 additional people to join our fun crew on an expedition as we cross the Great Plains of Zarth in search of the 13th Lost Legion. Come join us next week if you haven't already signed up. That is every weekend for the next 3 weeks through the Australian Role-Playing Community Discord. Go find them linked in the links below. Follow us on Tabletop Dynasties. Follow all of the art. This amazing presentation done by Cephalopede. And we are looking forward to seeing you in 1 more week for the next exciting chapter in this story.